So now the part that you're really waiting for. So it's my pleasure to introduce your commencement speaker, Melusi Mngomezulu, close, not maybe perfect, from Swaziland. Let me tell you what people said about him when he was nominated for this job. He is the glue that holds us together. When we are down, and 6 weeks, I'm sure there were a few down moments, he's the one that brings us up. He's the one that sees where we need to go. He's the one that helps us get there. Sometimes professional, sometimes laid back, but always a person for others. He's always trying to help us be our best self. So I think probably that's the best thing that can be said about anybody, and I hope one day it will be said about all the rest of us. But for today, it is said about your commencement speakers, so come on up.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to be here and to be speaking on behalf of my wonderful fellows from Africa. It is such a mammoth task, I must tell you, to speak on behalf of 24 incredible and intelligent people. And when I was given this task, I was of the view that it was going to be easy. But I must tell you that it's not easy. Standing even in front of you here, it's intimidating. I bought new socks, American socks, and I thought they were my lucky socks, but still it's not working. So I have been tasked to reflect on the past 6 weeks that we have had with the wonderful people that we have met. And to be quite frank, I do not know where to start. It's not a long time ago we were at Spanish House with our luggage, and we were coming from our different countries. We were exhausted, we had heightened expectations, and we were not sure how everything was going to unfold. But today I'm standing in front of you to reflect and probably let the whole world know how far the program has changed our lives. Once again, that is not easy. But I will briefly talk about the things that we have gone through in terms of the program. The way our program has been structured, it has been structured in such a way that we have been having formal lectures, we have been having informal lectures, and we have had collaborator meetings where we met different non-state or actors, different people who are doing incredible jobs to change the lives of the people around this place in Virginia, in Charlottesville, in Williamsburg, amongst any other places. And I will first talk about the class situation. So the first lecture we had was about leadership. Where we come from, leadership is defined in a very different way. It's entirely not what we discovered it to be here. Once in a while, one would take reference to what is happening back home against the ideals of what we were taught, against the ideals of what we were seeing, against the legacy of what you have as a country, against the hardships that you have had, and against the challenges that you continue encounter, and the challenges that maybe you have won in the past. But in terms of leadership, what stood out maybe for me and the rest of the fellows was that not only do we need strong institutions in Africa, but we need strong men and women who are grounded morally so that we can get things done. I think that underpinned everything in terms of what leadership entails and the task that we have as we go back to our different countries. But over and above everything, there was the issue of going back to humanity. There was the issue of looking at each and everyone as human beings. There was the issue of listening. There was the issue of being empathetic, to get into people's shoes so that we can be able to feel what they feel, so that we can be able to better tell their stories, so that we can better be able to inspire them to be who they want to be. We have seen a lot of things, a lot of incredible things that you do as a country. We would be debriefing with Nancy every morning or every weekend to talk about the things that we have seen and the things that we have learned. And to tell you the truth, every day brought an overwhelming experience. I work in the field of monitoring and evaluation, where I rarely talk about constitution, where I rarely talk about democratization processes, where I rarely talk about communication, although it is linked to my work. But there was never a dull moment where I went to class and I came out not knowing the relevance of what I was doing. So everything that we were doing has been tailor-made to make sure that in whatever field that we are working on, in whatever dreams and aspirations and desires that we have, it can be relevant and we can be able to take it back home. I do not want to spoil this because it's too good. But what I want to say is what we were presenting today in the morning in terms of what we intend to do when we go back home, in terms of our experiences, because I believe the different things that we intend to do when we go back home have been largely informed or enhanced rather by our experience or by this 6 weeks period. So we have talked about how we intend to fight violent extremism, using the youth to actually perpetrate violence. We have talked about how we intend to take the youth back to school to make sure that they are educated so that they are empowered. We have talked about how we intend to make sure that we promote peace building. We ensure that we eliminate violence. We also talked about we intend to make sure that we face our ugly past of colonialism, as you are also grappling to face your ugly past of slavery. Those are some of the things that we continue to grapple with, and those are some of the things that we want to take back home and make sure that they inform the things that we want to do. We have talked about how we want to empower women in terms of sexual reproductive health and rights, how we want to make sure that young people who have just completed school are able to access either entrepreneurship opportunities or are able to start something on their own if are not able to start their own employment opportunities. We've talked about the importance of how we want to make sure that we acknowledge and we deal with the issues of LGBTQIs and how we can best integrate them into society. We have talked about the rights of prisoners. We have talked about a number of things. And I want to believe that all these things, to a greater extent, have been enhanced or have been influenced by our great 6 weeks that we've had here. We have had incredible professors and doctors, I see some of them here, who have been key in trying to make sure that they teach us the ideals. They teach us the key things that we need to take back home. And I'm sure everyone amongst us here is grateful for that opportunity. It has been a tough 6 weeks, but I think the journey begins today. What are we going to be doing with all that we have learned here? What we intend to do with all that we have learned here? We won't say to you it's going to be easy, because currently it is not easy. But we have continued to do what we do in whatever small quantities that we have been doing. But with the experience that we have got here, I am sure that we are going to be able to amplify the voices of the constituencies that we represent in whatever spheres that we are working on. Maybe before I sit down, I should also take this opportunity to thank the Presidential Precinct, thank the Executive Director, Nell Piper. Thank you, sir, for opening not only your doors for us to be here, but also for opening your home to us. Nancy, thank you so much. We really appreciate everything that you have done for us. There has been times where we were all feeling like we cannot do this, but you've always persevered and you've always made it a point that we continue going. To the staff of Presidential Precinct, you guys are wonderful and thank you. We, from Charlottesville, we went to Malvern Farm. It's been wonderful. We had a great time. It's a beautiful place. Our hearts remain at Malvern Farm. We have our yearly tree there. So we are hopeful that the next time we're given a chance to come to the States, we'll also make sure we'll go and visit and see how it goes. We left Malvern Farm and we went to the wonderful Montpelier. Doug, thank you, sir. Thanks to you and your team. It was great as well. We got to see another dimension of how things are, how history has an impact in what is happening today, but how it is imperative and it's important to include the communities, to include every stakeholders involved, to try to move past that history, to try and make sure that we learn from what has happened in the past and make sure that we do not correct those mistakes. So thank you. And then we came to the historic William and Mary. We have been talking with some of my fellows that, in fact, it was supposed to start here. This is where maybe we were supposed to start and then we move, because it seemed as if we started on the other end part of history. But also, let me take this opportunity to say to the wonderful people at William and Mary, thank you so much. Thank you for not only allowing us to be who we are, but allowing us to learn and take a note of what you do and how it best can influence the work that we do. But before I also sit down, let me say something to my soon-to-be or my 2017 Yali Fellows, soon-to-be alumni. When we met, we were from different walks of life. But each and every day provided an opportunity for us to learn. But not only to learn, but to get to know each other. It has been said consistently that it is through this network that we are going to be able to thrive. So for me, and from me to you is, let's continue working together. Let's continue with this good relationship that we have. It's only today that we begin to start to do the job, or we are only expected to start doing our job now because we've finished our 6 weeks. So now we need to put it into practice. I know the landscapes and the political systems and the synergies of where we come from is different, and it's much more likely to affect us in one way or another. But we have learned that we need to persevere. We need to start small. We need to start at the grassroots level. Empowerment is key to what we need to do in terms of achieving the bigger goal that we want to achieve. So on behalf of my fellows and on my own behalf, thank you very much for the wonderful and incredible experience. It will forever be in our hearts. Thank you.